Welcome back. I'm coming to you live from Marina Bay Sands at Retail Congress Asia Pacific, and as with everything retail related, a lot has been made about the demise of bricks and mortar traditional stores in favour of users getting on their mobiles, on their smartphones, on the internet for that retail experience. I want to bring in Brian Elliott. He's the CEO of Periscope at Mckinsey, and what's surprising is that the way that physical and e-commerce is converging, you say that that's not necessarily mutually exclusive.
That's right. It's not necessarily in conflict at all. In fact, what we're seeing is even online players are getting more physical presence because you have to build the trust in your consumer and you have to generate an emotive experience, and that's much harder to do through digital. So the bricks and mortar retailers are adding more digital to become more personal and more localized, and the online retailers are actually adding more pop-up physical locations to actually help build their brands.
So those naysayers that say, in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, we're not going to have any physical stores, do you think that's ever going to be a day when we see that?
I think it's unlikely that we're going to have no physical stores. In fact, I think what will happen is we'll have different physical stores that actually help you have the same personal experience that you can sometimes have online or on your mobile device, now also much more in the store. So when you go in and shop, if it's out of stock for the product you really want, you can actually immediately order it right there and have it delivered to your house. Much more of a complete experience.
Right. We're also in the era of big data, which is quite confounding and I think quite intimidating as a consumer, even as a layperson. But you're saying that this enormous amount of data that is being collected about consumers, about our preferences, can actually help when you are a retailer who gets a customer who walks in on their phone trying to work out what to buy, where they're going to buy it. How does big data actually make things more personal?
Yeah, so maybe we'll keep it simple, right? Yeah. So this is a win-win opportunity for the consumer and the retailer, because with big data and advanced analytics, we can know what you want to buy, when you want to buy it, and how much you're willing to pay. And that means we can have the product you want in the store when you get there or online, and offer it to you at the right price. And so when you walk into one store, we can localize the assortment in that store because we know you're shopping there and I'm shopping there. And when you walk in and you haven't purchased in a while, I can push a promotion, either physical coupon to your house or onto your mobile phone that says, hey, rebuy the product you used to buy with me. And that means I keep you as a loyal customer if you're a retailer, and as a consumer it means you get what you want at the price that you want.
In terms of the challenges, obviously everyone's very bullish on the Asian consumer, whether you're talking about the Indian consumer, the Indonesian consumer, or the Chinese consumer, even though that perhaps hasn't grown as much as we expected. What's the biggest challenge when you're a startup or an e-commerce company in this space, in this part of the world?
So the smartphone penetration here is enormously high, and especially if you're talking about startups, the early challenge is being very personalized and breaking in and building the trust. The Southeast Asian consumer in particular is very open to that. If you go to Australia, from the broader Asia Pacific standpoint, it takes a little bit more time to have the same trust. And so how do you build that trust and connection with your consumer becomes really important if you're an online startup. If you're an established brand, you've already got that trust. And so then what you have to do is actually change behavior by encouraging you to also shop with me online so that I don't lose that occasion with you.
Okay, very interesting. Certainly being an early adopter would be one of the key advantages that you could have in this part of the world. Right?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us. And that was Brian Elliott, who's the CEO of Periscope, which basically gathers the data that helps e-commerce companies and retailers really around the world better serve their customers. And Wei, are you much of an online shopper, or do you prefer to go into a store?
I don't do so much of that in Singapore because it's just so convenient. But back then when I lived in Shanghai, yeah, definitely. I believe the same experience for you as well.
Yeah.
All right, elsewhere in a world.
Yeah, totally. I'm a big fan of Taobao for sure.
All right, elsewhere in a world.